Okay, so Xenocrypts, not really much to them. Aristocrats in Spanish. The nice thing is that, they're either normal or they're hinted. They're not going to throw you like Xenocrypts with errors like they might do with aristocrats, because, that might get to a point where it's not super solvable. And then some general tips. So, obviously the tips for aristocrats are like what you think about for aristocrats are all still pretty prevalent, but there are a few key differences that, if you're just aware of before you head in, they can definitely help out. So first off, frequency is, slightly different from English. So English is like Itawin Shirdalu, or like that's how you pronounce that string of letters. And then in Spanish, the big difference is that T is nowhere near as common as it is in English. And then another thing is that you have very standardized ways to form words. Like, for instance, if I have a noun, and by the way, in case you didn't know, Spanish like assigns nouns different genders. So, like, male nouns will end in O, and then if you want to say like the before a male noun, then you would say el, whatever the noun is. And then on the other hand, for feminine nouns, then you have la, whatever the noun is, that ends in a. And then if you want to make something plural, just like English, you would add an s onto the end of it. Uh, and if it ends, like if the word ends in a consonant, then just like English, you add es onto the end to make it plural. So like that's some really basic stuff that could help. If you wanted to say like one before a word instead of the, like I want one bottle of water, you would say like yo quiero una botella de agua. My point being like not the rest of the words, but una is one for a feminine word because that was botella, which ends in an a, so that's how you know it's feminine. And then for a masculine word, uh, I don't know, libro, which is book. It's un libro. It's not uno libro, so it's a bit different there, I guess. Like it doesn't quite follow the pattern, but it'll get easier to see as we do some examples, which is mainly what this class is going to be today. Yeah, so common words are definitely going to help you out. So, que in Spanish can serve a lot of different purposes. It can be like a question word, like if you were asking the question, what? Or it can like connect two clauses of a sentence and be like that. And we all know how common that is in aristocrats. So, it stands to reason that que would be pretty common in Spanish aristocrats. For the like sequence of four, slashed words I put there, those are just examples of common words that can have the pattern where they're four-letter words, but the second and fourth positions match up. So para means like for, como means like or as or how. Cada means like every, so like I don't know, every time. And then todo means all, or like total, if you want to think of it that way. And then the last example of helpful things I have on here are all the single letter possibilities in Spanish. So E, which is how you pronounce the Y, that means and. So if you see a single letter, and obviously like just like English, Y is not that common in Spanish. So if you see a single letter in the cipher and it's not super common, like there's one or two of them, it's probably a Y. From now on, I'm gonna pronounce it like E because that's how you say it in Spanish, but just know, like keep in mind that I mean the letter Y. Uh, the letter A or A, it means like two, like TO. So, that could also come up. O by itself is or. So A and O are both very common letters, but they also can stand on their own. So you can use like frequency analysis to kind of look at that. And then the E, so and then U, those are kind of exceptions. So there's this thing in Spanish where if you want to say and like this and that, if the and the word that comes after it, so the and will be a Y, so E. If the next word starts with an E sound, like iguanas, like iguanas are iguanas, then you have to say iguanas just because you don't want to have to like slur your words. Like you want to be able to say it fast and comfortably. So instead of saying iguanas, because you can't really tell where the first word ended and where the second word started, you say e iguanas. Same thing with the letter U, except it's for or, so O. It's a replacement for O, just like the E is a replacement for Y, which is pronounced E. Sorry, that was kind of confusing. Here, let's move on to examples though, and then we'll try finding strategies to do things without necessarily knowing what the end product means. So I guess, is there anything here that jumps out to us first? Like anything we should attack? Oh, and I guess I'll preface this by saying I don't know if it happens in this quote, but two-letter words are really important in English, right? They're also very important. Oops, I just drew. They're also very important in Spanish because there are only a couple two-letter words, or no, like there's more uh, that are possible in Spanish, but many two-letter words start with E. I'll tell you that, like the letter E this time, though. The J. Okay, what about the J? I agree that the J is somewhere we could start. Do we have an idea about what it might be? And don't worry about our pace today because, yeah, I'm going to try and make everything pretty easy. Yeah, okay. So this is Y. Nice. And then there is one of them. And then, yeah, I like the way you're thinking, Ricken, because, you're trying to put one-letter words and two-letter words together, which is good. But I think that I, this might be a little bit too advanced to do on our first Xenocrypt. But here, let's just start with, yeah, that's what I was going to lead into, but let me think about how I want to express like how I got there. So our first suggestion was say that this is es, right? Which, if you don't know, that's the word is in Spanish. But say you start with is, because these two are the same. Unless there's a question mark at the end of the sentence, and also like Spanish begins with opposite facing like punctuation. So like you would see a beginning question mark as well if there was a question. Like it doesn't really make sense to start a question with is, right? Yeah, so I think a good thing or like something probable would be L. And the reason I say that is I covered that masculine nouns end in O, right? So say this is L. This is not working all that well. Okay. You end up with L's here, and then what can we guess about D? Yeah. So I think that's like a line of reasoning we could use to get a start on this uh, Xenocrypt. I'll just fill in what we have so far. And then I guess if you have some Spanish knowledge, you might be able to get this word, but I don't expect you to. Why is DO? Because basically what this section of the sentence is saying is the something and the something blah blah blah. But because we have L, which is the for masculine words in Spanish, yeah, LLO is a pretty common ending for words. Uh, but basically what I'm getting at is that if you had la instead of L, then it would stand to reason that you would probably need a P to end this word just to have this stuff match up because you want la to precede a feminine word. So basically, like, one thing that's helpful in Spanish that you can't get in English is that you have the articles, like the one, something like that, that match up with your nouns. So you can make guesses based off of those. We have a lot more examples, by the way, which, I'm going to hope to take a bit slower than this just because, maybe this isn't slow enough for our first one. Okay, peas. Um, yeah, it is. Can you tell me what desarrollo means? Just want to see. Uh, it's a noun, so it's not necessarily developing because that's like a verb, right? It means development. But yeah, nice. Uh, I don't want to put that in right now because I want to focus more on the fundamentals for this one, and I feel like doing the L thing might have already stretched it a bit too far. So I'll try and look for where we might find like an intermediate step to get there eventually. I think we filled everything in. Okay, so there's a number of things you could do right now. I think let's look at this three-letter word that happens twice. Yeah, it could be como, but the reason that we don't necessarily know that it's como, it could be like todo or I don't know, some random OO word. So like that's why I kind of want to look at this three-letter word because we almost certainly know what this is. Um, Here, so I was talking about el and la earlier being the, but that's if the noun that follows is singular. Does anybody know? Yeah, yeah, that's what I was getting at. So the plural form of el is los. So if I wanted to say the books instead of el libro, which is singular, it's los libros. And then la goes with las. So here, the reason that I think it's almost certainly las is because K is super common, first of all, and we already used O. Um, and there's a pronoun in Spanish, les, that it could be, but we already used E, right? So that kind of definitely narrows it down to las. Okay, so now like we can put in desarrollo because there's only two letters left anyways. Uh, okay. Does anybody know what this word is? I'll explain it after if anybody knows. Um, be careful. Yeah, soy is really tempting. We already used Y though, and like it's not super common, right? And also grammatically, soy means I am, right? It's like a conjugation of the verb ser. Yeah, son. The reason is that O is pretty common and it's talking about el something and el something. So that's a plural subject. So that's, I don't know, if you're taking Spanish, that's like ustedes or ellos or ellas. It's that conjugation. So it needs to be son because your subject is plural like that. Okay, maybe this is an easier word for the people who haven't taken Spanish. Yeah, uno. Okay, so this second word is what we call a cognate, which means it's basically spelled the same as English with like very minor tweaks. So I guess if you think of it like the English word, yeah, it's progreso. So anytime you kind of recognize that there's a cognate involved, try to, I guess, let your English skills kick in and think of it that way. Oh yeah, that's my bad. I forgot one here. Yeah, this is imposibles. Uh, so one thing about Spanish that's slightly different from English that you might want to be careful with is that you will rarely see unnecessary double letters. So it's just like kind of a more efficient language. So if I write impossible in English, why do I actually need this second S? Does it sound different if I write it with one S? Not really, right? So Spanish kind of uses that line of reasoning and eliminates like unneeded letters, if that makes any sense. Okay, SI means if. You might be familiar with C with like an accent. That means yes as like a response, but SI with no accent means if. I'll read the quote after we solve it and then I'll like translate it so we know what it actually means. Yeah, siempre. That's a word pattern you might be able to get in the future just because of the E positioning. And it looks like this is como because we got that M. What was I filling in? Okay, I'll just do C's right now. Okay, I think there's always a point, or there usually is, unless all of the words are super common. There's usually a point in the Xenocrypts, pretty late into it, where you just have to start thinking about what makes sense in Spanish or what sounds like Spanish. Really, like when you don't know Spanish, but I don't know, everybody has like some experience just like hearing it in random places, right? What sounds like Spanish, what sounds correct, or even what looks correct. Like in this case, we might not even know what this word is, right? But is there any idea what Y might be just based on like what letters don't look absolutely weird in that position? Oh, yeah, I guess we have that. But that's what I was hinting at, because, like, I don't know, I'm just looking at the letter frequency table down below, and I'm not sure that any letters there really make sense in that position, like, just visually. So, like, that's kind of what I was hinting at. And then here we should have this. So, having a little bit of Spanish knowledge definitely helps here, but you don't necessarily need it. So, if I go back, I don't know if this will work. I think the text is going to say where it is, but I'll try not to let it interfere. So here at the bottom, I put something about perfect tense verbs. What perfect tense means is basically I have done something. So if I want to say I have ate, yo he comido. Like e is the he. Um, yeah, that's pretty much all you need to know about it. It's just that there's always a consistent H something like word, like a word that starts with H that precedes the participle. Like those are big words. You don't need to know what those mean. But basically, keep that H thing in mind. Is there anywhere that one of those H things could appear here? Yeah, because we kind of ran out of something A words, right? Like it could be da, which means like to give, but da dec do doesn't make any sense in Spanish, right? So in this case, it's ha hecho, and this one is haciendo. Uh, even for me, sometimes you get two errors, right? Like sometimes either you just don't want to think about what the last thing is because you don't need to, or you just can't. What is this? Uh, oh yeah, that's true. Like, yeah, I was just kind of saying that one as a joke though, because like da decto makes absolutely no sense, right? Um, Here, let's see. What could E be? It's not mal, which would be my first guess because we already have M for como. Uh, I'm pretty sure it's tal. Okay. Yeah, it does not matter though, because we have most of it, right? So I'll just read it off. El progreso y el desarrollo son imposibles si uno sigue haciendo las cosas tal como siempre las ha hecho. So basically, progress and development are impossible if one, as in like one person, continues doing things like they've always done. That's basically what it's saying. So it's like similarly abstract to like English quotes, because most of the time your Xenocrypts that you're solving are going to be like translated famous English quotes. Here, let's take this one a little bit slower so we can catch more, or like just catch everyone. Okay, so we can start pretty similarly to last time, if anybody sees somewhere. Yeah, G is Y. I think that's, pretty safe. Where's that second G though? That's what I was trying to find. Is this... I doubt the letter frequency table is wrong. Yeah, that's also true because it's like a conjunction. Second to last word. Okay, thanks. Yeah, P is probably E. The reason being that it begins two different two-letter words. Actually, you need more justification than that because you could have like la and lo or something, right? But in this case, the reason... Oh, three? Oh, no, I'm saying two because that's the same as this. Um, yeah, so the reason that... do you mean like, is it the same like as in super common? Because it is really common. Yeah. The thing about Spanish though, what do you exactly mean is E in Xenocrypt? Like, oh, like I? Yeah, it's kind of similar like that. Yeah. Um, hold on. Oh, what I was gonna say is like based on what source you use, sometimes people say that A is more common in Spanish than E. Um, Basically, when we're dealing with aristocrats, usually E is the most common and usually by a decent margin, right? But in Spanish, sometimes you'll find that one or two letters are more common than E. And that's okay as long as, you're used to it. A is sometimes much more common than E, so be careful for that. Yeah, so I'm just going to put an E down here. And the reason I'm doing that is because we have this two-letter word that is the second word in the Xenocrypt. So my guess is probably that this is a noun and this is a verb. So if the second thing is a verb, what do we think that is? S, yeah. Okay, and then if the second clause of the sentence is like similarly noun and verb, what has to precede this noun probably? L, yeah. So, that's just a guess. It could be wrong. Because another E word, it could be as like N, but it's slightly less likely. And it's not going to like ruin our world if, we get this wrong. Yeah, A is probably O. Just going along with everything here. It does look kind of weird because like S something, it's probably not like S no because like that's not grammatically correct. But we'll just follow along and see where we get. And if we made a mistake, we can just backtrack. What do you mean is ES to a thing? Yeah, I think this is probably del, which means of the... Dhruv, what exactly do you mean by your message? Sorry. could Y be T? Um, I don't. Oh, like is you mean is like two a word in Spanish? If that's what you mean, then no. Okay, I think we messed up. I'm kind of seeing where we messed up, but I'm just gonna keep going down this road until we actually get somewhere weird, and then I can point out like what we can do to fix our mistakes from there. Okay, so I think the first thing telling me that we're not necessarily on the right track is there's no good candidate for this Y. Because just like in English, you can't say is no, right? And if you're trying to say something is not whatever, then you would have to say no S, not S no. Uh, Here, what I'm kind of seeing, this F is interesting, and then the A kind of as well. Here, let's just keep going down this road. So if we have Y in the middle of a word, I'm trying to think if that means anything to us. Okay, I feel like that's something I should recognize, but I'm like slightly off my game for Xenocrypts, so I guess we're not recognize that today. What is the Spanish word for but? Pero. I mean, usually you'll see pero. Yeah. Uh, oh, I think what I was saying earlier about S no and no S mites. Hold on. No, never mind. Ini. Okay, so what I was just like kind of muttering about the F. Yeah, yeah, you do say no S. I'm not trying to say that S no is possible. I was just wondering if I could switch no and S here. But okay, so one thing I was looking at with the F, anytime you have this, like the surrounding letters at the end of the word, there's a couple of possibilities. So it could be a vowel like O or A, and then there's just some, thing inside of it, like there's some consonant inside of it, or it could be probably two different consonants. It's probably D or S. In this case, I think kind of a shot in the dark guess it's D, just because. Okay, yeah, W is not common, and then W happens here. Okay, so just doing something randomly, I'm going to say that Z was not D for a second, just to see if this guess gets anywhere. What is? Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's pretty common. Here, I won't go with that then. I'll just say what I was thinking. I thought this word might be verdad, which is truth, or like true. You can use it either way in Spanish. Which is kind of an abstract concept that comes up in a lot of aristocrats too, right? So like sometimes you have to resort to those weird guesses, but I think, yeah, S is probably better guess in this case. It's just that I think we messed up more fundamentally than that because of that. Um, Here, you know what? Just for the sake of being fundamentally sound, we're gonna start back at Y. Yeah, yeah, that's why every time you want to make a guess, but you realize there's like a roadblock in the way of that guess, then it's kind of a signal that something went wrong. Okay, so when you get stuck like that, sometimes you can look at like the ends of words. So in this case, CPH, we have F ending a word a couple of times, and it's right next to the end of a word, which can also signal something. We also have A ending a word. But F is consistently either last or second to last. And why am I including second to last is because if you have a plural word, then it could just be like OS, right? And then this could be what F is, or like AS or something. So I'm thinking that F is probably a vowel just because of how common it is. And because it's that common, I'm more inclined to say that it's A rather than O. Because, like we covered earlier, A can sometimes be even more common than E in Spanish. So I feel like that might be something we go with here. The reason I didn't do Noes is because you end up with this word starting with N, right? And then, there's only one word that I can think of that isn't no that can start with N that's two words, and it's ni, which means like neither. But you can't say ni, because and neither in Spanish isn't a thing, really. Yeah. Let's see where else. So, I guess if there's two candidates for A, it's, I mean, not A, sorry, S, it's probably A or L, but see, double S shouldn't happen. So if L's gonna be a double letter, it's not L, and then it shouldn't be R either at the end of a word. Sorry, I don't know why I'm blanking on this one. These are all ones that I've solved pretty easily before. That's why I put them on here. Uh, okay, this word is the same as this word. Okay, PH and ZPH both happen, which is why we got the L and del thing. Maybe it could still be L. Because masculine words don't necessarily need to end with O. Oh, okay. Yeah, so I don't think our E guess was necessarily wrong. It's just that extending it to the O wasn't right in this case. So I'm just gonna put the E's down again and then try to explain. Oh my gosh. This word does look kind of weird though, but it's definitely possible in Spanish. Oh, okay. I think I know what this word is. E is. Yeah, okay, yeah, we're on the right track now. So, going along with our like guessing scheme from last time, we can say the second word is S because, something is a pretty common way to start a sentence in English too. So, if we continue with that, and then we can just say this is L again for, you know, the sake of being consistent, and then that becomes del because of that. This is like really similar to desarrollo, which we had before, but it's not quite. Okay, so from here, Where I messed up last time is also the YA word. So, hmm, okay, yeah, this is also not A. So letter frequencies can also trick you. And the reason that it's not A is because what I think YA is un, which means one, but only for masculine words. And the reason I think it is because one way that you can end a masculine word that's not in O is N. So if you have S un and then the next word ends with O, that can tell you that stuff is consistent. Sorry, this was kind of full of some twists and turns. Okay, so here, okay, maybe somebody knows this word. Yeah, nuestro. Basically, what nuestro means is our, or like our, if you want to say it that way. Uh, there's also nuestra, same word ending in A though. Uh, it just depends on what's the word following it, or like the noun following it, because there could be an adjective before the noun. It depends on the noun's gender. So if like I'm talking about nuestro libro, our book, because book is masculine, or like nuestra, I don't know, nuestra something feminine. A this kind of doesn't that it doesn't make the next word a noun because I can say like nuestro. I don't know. There are like a couple of exceptions in Spanish because like mostly nouns precede the adjectives, right? So it's opposite of English. So like my book big instead of my big book. So but actually that was kind of a bad example because you can say like mi gran libro. Um, but there are a few adjectives that come before the noun, and in this case, it's kind of a general adjective, so that's why it comes before the noun. But this, in my mind, is the noun because I can kind of see what this word is, but I don't want to give it away. But if we end in YOR, maybe that makes things a little bit clearer. This is also kind of a cognate. I mean, not really, because it doesn't mean exactly what it looks like, but it's kind of similar. Like you can tell what it means after you read the word. Um, I'm pretty sure I haven't filled in everything yet. Also, I'm pretty sure that this word that's repeated is exactly a cognate, like it means exactly what it's spelled. Yeah, that's sad. The L messed everything up. Oh, wait, no. This is not a cognate. Okay. So I'm just going to make this a little bit easier. So there's only a couple of consonants in Spanish, and the reason we know that this is a consonant is because there's no way we're gonna have three consecutive vowels to end the word, right? So there's only a couple of consonants that can double up in Spanish. Most famously R and L. You might see like C and kind of Italian looking words, but probably not. So here I'm going to say it's R because it can't be L, right? Otherwise it would map to itself. So if you say L is R, that could make things a little bit clearer. Oh, we already have L as R. Okay. And then we also have W as T if that helps anyway. Tesoro. By the way, I don't know what tesoro means, but it kind of seems Spanishy, right? So it's probably right. Yeah, it is mayor. So basically, mayor means like greatest. So this is saying like our greatest something. Or like if you're trying to say like my older brother, you can say mi hermano mayor, which, it's kind of similar to greatest, but like not exactly the same, right? So if we have mayor, we can fill in the A, despilfarro. I have no idea what that means. It could be. I'll see though. Waste. Oh, okay, it's a waste of the heart. Yeah. Odiar. Uh, yeah, so I'm not gonna translate this one because I don't like have total. Oh, treasure, our greatest treasure. Okay, so the second clause is and our heart is our greatest treasure, or and the heart. Odiar, isn't that like smelling? I don't quite remember, but it's something like that. Yeah. Despilfarro is waste. So like basically it's saying like this action is a waste of the heart. Oh, hate. That makes a lot more sense than smelling. So basically hating is a waste of your heart or like, you know, in the abstract sense and the heart is our greatest treasure, so like don't waste it or whatever. All right, this one was my bad. I made some mistakes. Okay. Here our single letters are looking kind of different. Actually, what's nice about the single letter in the ciphertext that lets us know immediately what that letter actually maps to? Yeah, A. The reason it's not E is because basically E single letter doesn't really happen. And if it does, then the next word has to start with I or like HI or something. And the reason I say HI is because H is silent in Spanish most of the time. So if you start the next word with an E sound, then you have to have E before it instead of the Y. But in this case, we're going to have A. And A means two. Wouldn't H? Yeah, probably. Okay, I'm decently sure I didn't skip anything. Um, so this makes sense because it's la, and then this is probably a feminine noun. Oh, okay. Here, I can cover something now. So let's take a look at this word, LAS, for a second. There's something I covered in the tips, like way back, not way back, like 30 minutes ago or something, that could help us out here. Um, Basically, it's just like one of the most common, if not the most common word. No, it's definitely the most common word in Spanish. And it has a really distinct letter frequency pattern. Because, like, it's not a word pattern, right? Because it's three different letters, but it has a really distinct letter frequency distribution that lets you know if it's that word or not. I'll just give it to you in this case. I'm pretty sure it's K. And the way I know is that Q should almost never happen again in the cipher. And it actually, like, it happens right here, but this word is very possible. So that's okay. The way you can eliminate the possibility of certain three-letter words being gay is because if you see Q happen, first of all, if you see Q being common, it's not K. And then if you see Q happening without U right next to it, it's also not K. So basically, what the letter frequency should kind of look like is like one or two Qs. I don't know, anywhere between like two and six U's, and then a lot of E's. Yeah, K, as in like this kind of K. At least I'm pretty sure. Anytime you have like the unneeded accent, that means it's a question. So that means what? Like what? Uh, but in this case, it means that. So it's kind of like multifunctional in Spanish, which, you know, contributes to the fact that it happens even more because it's fulfilling the role of multiple words in English. I'll fill in what we have. Oh, okay. The first word should not be that hard. There's a distinction in like the actual language, but not in Xenocrypts, because something I forgot to mention is that you never see the accents in Xenocrypts. So even if you know that there's an accent there, don't write it down or anything, because you might just confuse the grader if they don't like know how to speak Spanish. Okay. Yeah, so like this is on the common side for you, but it's not like super out of the ordinary. It could be two. It could also be like Sue or something. Oh, it's probably two. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think this phrase is a tu lado, which means at your side. So it's probably just, I don't know. It's probably like an excerpt from a love song or something, or maybe from a poem, but I'm pretty sure it has like some romantic thing involved. Let me just fill in everything else first, though. Okay, that was pretty quick. Um, Let me just see if that's right, because I think first of all, it could be two or like Sue, and that's basically it. So we can just treat it like we're guessing what this is. Could C be S or N? I think it's S, because this word kind of looks like sige, which means like continue, or like it can also mean like stay. But let let's not make two consecutive like big guesses. Oh, the E? Yeah, I guess if you like cross-reference those, then yeah, it's probably S, but let's let's leave it for now. D. Oh, it happens here again. Okay. Te queda. Okay. Maybe somebody who's taking Spanish can see the second word. After queda, there's an I. Okay, thanks. Um, I mean, this word is probably cada. Oh, wait, no, it's not cada. Don't listen to me, because see something doesn't make sense in Spanish. This is also, I forget what this word means, but it happens sometimes. I think it means like peace or something. Cuando. Yeah, yeah, nice. So cuando means when. So it can be like, if you're asking a question, then similarly to all the other question words, you have that accent. But if you're just saying like, let's do something when we meet tomorrow, that's not a question, right? Then it would just be cuando without the accent. Yeah, verdadera. Lots of stuff to fill in. Hold on. Yeah, maybe we can get this. Actually, yeah, that's a really good guess. Include. In Spanish, it's the way of saying including. So in this case, it's incluso. But like that's a really good example of how like just looking at it from an English lens can help you see really similar looking Spanish words. It's not the truth, because the truth would be la verdad. La verdadera is a way of saying the true something without, I guess, in Spanish, like we said earlier, usually the noun is before the adjective, but there's a couple ways you can modify some adjectives to make the adjective come before the noun. So in this case, it's saying the true, I'm just going to fill this in, amistad. I'm pretty sure it means peace. I'm not like 100% though, because if you think about it, like armistice is like when you stop shooting each other in a war, right? Uh, so it's probably from like the same stem as that. Friendship. Uh, I guess pretty similar to peace. Oh yeah, this was nada instead of uh. I don't think it's compana. I think it's compara. Oh, I messed up that M kind of. Uh, let me just put that there. Por. In this case, I knew it was por because P-O and then something, like there's no way it's not R. Yeah, so the verb nadar is to swim, which you can conjugate into nada for the el, ella, usted form. But, uh, in this case, it means nothing, which is, the more common way it's used. Hold on. Oh yeah, compañía. That's what it is. Wait, no, it's not compañía. It's comparía. Or is it compañía like okay, I'm not completely sure if Xenocrypts. Yeah, yeah. The thing I haven't brushed up on the rules, but I'm pretty sure that Xenocrypts don't distinguish between N's and Nyes. So I'm not sure if it's compañía with an Ny or not. So I guess let's look at the rest of the cipher and see what like the rest means and try and deduce it that way. See, this could be like salvo or salgo. Uh, do we have J? Oh yeah, it's salvo. Nye and E. Or Q and C. Okay, this is sigue a tu lado. E was R. Oh, okay, this is ofrecer, which means to offer. Okay, so the true friendship is that which continues by your side, including when I think it means like you have nothing to offer or something. Save your, okay, yeah, it is your company. So they do distinguish between Nyes and Ns. Okay, this is like a really rough translation because I'm kind of just getting the gist of it. But it's like true friendship is that which, or like, it says friendship, but it's kind of like a true friend is that which stays by your side, including when you have nothing to offer, save your company. Save your company means like, but your company. Like, company as in you being there, not like merchant company. Um, okay, I'm like decently sure we don't have that much time left. Let's see how far we get on the other one, and then we'll just go to like maybe 11:02 or something. Oops. Hold on. Is this one's shorter, so I guess let's just try to speed run this kind of. Uh, okay, where can we start? V equals A. Hold on, let me check the frequencies for V. Yeah, I guess that's a frequency method. Q is E. I feel like that's a bit safer, so I'm more inclined to do that. The reason I don't think V is A is because if you start with something A, it's probably la, right? And then you have this L something word, which it could be like le, but it's probably not in this case. Yeah, so if we stick with the Q is E thing, it's probably L. V. I will admit that there's like not all that much to go off of in this though. And I'm not like 100% sure what this word is. Four-letter word ending in L. 3 L's in the first word of the second row. Oh yeah, that's my bad. That. Thanks for telling me that. That looks extremely weird. I'm pretty sure it's not L then. Uh, so what that tells us is that V is probably a vowel, and it's probably A, E, or O. Here, I'll erase. Yeah, that was a good thing to point out. I guess it could be lay here, but the thing is that is T common? Let me see. Yeah, it's common enough, but where does it happen in the words? Here. I mean, D has to be S or N then, and then hmm. You know what? You might have been right about that. La. Here, let's just go with that for now since we're just going fast, right? So if we make mistakes, we make mistakes. V. It kind of seems more like L or E to me, but oh, actually, we might get kicked out soon. I don't know if there's another class right after us, but just be prepared for the class to end really abruptly, just in case. Uh, slow. It could be low. Day. Oh, okay. So R, I'm gonna say R is E just because it's decently common, right? And you have this thing where it both starts and ends a two-letter word, which kind of it doesn't mean it is E, but E can fulfill that role. So here, I'm just going to fill something in. Oh, that's my bad. I have to get to that. I'll do that right after class. Sorry. So I think this is de mi vida because of this D positioning. So it's saying of my life. Is that like time sensitive? Sorry. Uh, so if we have Y's, okay, this should probably be the same as in English. Yeah, it is the same as in English, I think. Yeah, I guess in English you would spell it PLE at the end for that kind of principle, but it's basically the same. Oh, this could. Okay, so this is low. But this word might be helpful to know. Any five-letter word that starts with M, or there are a couple decently common ones that start with M. They're all pretty similar in structure. Oh, my bad. That's not an Enye. Okay, I'm just going to fill in this letter and see if we can go anywhere from there. Maybe that word might become a little bit clearer. With an accent on third word. Oh, yeah. Another thing about Spanish is that anytime you have a Tion word in English, it's going to be Cion in, yeah, exactly, occupation, except it looks a tiny bit different because it's in Spanish. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to put this J in because it doesn't really matter. Mejor means best. This is pasarla. It just means like pass it or like go by it. Okay, only one letter left in that word. Do we see it? It's pretty much English. Yeah, so consist in Spanish is consiste en, and then this is posible. So the principal occupation of my life, or like, my main goal in life, basically, consists in spending it as well as possible, or like passing by it as well as possible. Lo more mejor posible is kind of like in the best way possible, but I just like made it make sense in English. Okay, sorry for going over time.